Open world games are everywhere these days, but while everyone talks about the biggest hits like GTA, Elden Ring, or The Witcher 3, there are tons of fantastic open world experiences that never got the attention they deserved. Some were overlooked at launch, some got buried by bigger releases, and others were simply ahead of their time. Today, I'm counting down 20 underrated open world games that absolutely deserve a second chance. Let's get started. Let's start with my favorite Far Cry game. When Far Cry Primal was announced, many fans were confused. A Far Cry game without guns, vehicles, or modern technology sounded like a risky idea. But what seemed strange at first ended up becoming one of the most unique entries in the entire franchise. Set over 10,000 years ago during the Stone Age, the game places players in the role of Takar, a hunter trying to unite his tribe and survive in a dangerous prehistoric world. Instead of assault rifles and explosives, you'll rely on spears, bows, clubs, and crafted tools to overcome threats. The setting is what truly makes Far Cry Primal stand out. Dense forests, mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and rival tribes create an atmosphere unlike anything else in gaming. The world feels wild, unpredictable, and constantly dangerous. One of the coolest features is the ability to tame animals and use them as companions. Whether you're sending a wolf to scout ahead or charging into battle alongside a massive bear, these creatures become an important part of the experience. Far Cry Primal may not be the most popular game in the series, but it's easily one of the most memorable and deserves far more appreciation than it gets. The original Watch Dogs had an enormous amount of hype before launch, and unfortunately, that hype ended up working against it. Many players focused on the controversy surrounding its visual downgrade and overlooked the fact that there was actually a very solid open world game underneath. Looking back today, Watch Dogs feels far more appreciated than it did when it first launched. Set in a highly connected version of Chicago, the game follows Aiden Pierce, a skilled hacker seeking revenge after a tragic event changes his life forever. What made Watch Dogs stand out at the time was its hacking system. Players could manipulate traffic lights, security cameras, bridges, and countless other parts of the city's infrastructure with the press of a button. This gave the open world a level of interactivity that felt genuinely innovative. Chases became more dynamic, stealth encounters became more creative, and exploration felt unique compared to other open world games. While later entries expanded on these ideas, the original Watch Dogs deserves credit for introducing concepts that still feel fresh today. It's a game that many players should revisit with fresh eyes.
Jesus! That nearly blew my fucking eardrums!
Atlas Fallen is one of those games that quietly arrived, got overshadowed by bigger releases, and ended up being overlooked by many players. Set in a fantasy world buried beneath endless sand, the game puts you in the role of a warrior who gains powerful abilities through a mysterious magical gauntlet. What follows is an action-packed adventure focused on fast movement, challenging combat, and uncovering the secrets of a fallen civilization. One of Atlas Fallen's most unique features is its traversal system. Instead of simply running across the world, you can glide across massive sand dunes at high speed, making exploration feel smooth and satisfying. Moving through the environment becomes fun in its own right. Combat is another highlight. Battles emphasize momentum, rewarding aggressive playstyles and skillful timing. As you unlock new powers and abilities, encounters become increasingly dynamic and exciting. The world itself is filled with ancient ruins, hidden treasures, and powerful enemies waiting to be challenged. While the game isn't perfect, it offers enough originality and fun gameplay to make it worth experiencing. If you're a fan of action RPGs and somehow missed Atlas Fallen, it's definitely a game you should consider giving a chance. Not every open world game needs combat, dangerous enemies, or massive boss fights to keep players engaged. Sable proves that exploration alone can be enough when it's done right. The game follows a young girl named Sable as she embarks on a coming-of-age journey known as the Gliding. Her goal is simple: travel across a vast desert world, meet different communities, and discover who she wants to become. There are no enemies to defeat and no world-ending threats to stop. Instead, the entire experience is built around curiosity and discovery. What immediately stands out is the game's stunning art style, which resembles a living graphic novel. Every location feels unique, from ancient ruins buried in the sand to massive abandoned spacecraft scattered across the landscape. Exploration is incredibly rewarding because you're constantly uncovering new stories, characters, and mysteries. The hoverbike traversal is smooth and relaxing, making every journey enjoyable. In an industry filled with action-heavy open worlds, Sable offers something refreshingly different. It's a peaceful, memorable adventure that deserves far more attention than it received. Mad Max is one of the most underrated open-world action games of the last decade. Released alongside one of the greatest action films ever made, many people expected a simple movie tie-in. Instead, what they got was a surprisingly deep and addictive post-apocalyptic adventure. Set in a brutal wasteland where survival depends on your vehicle, you play as Max Rockatansky as he battles raiders, warlords, and hostile factions while trying to build the ultimate combat machine, the magnum opus. The vehicle gameplay is easily the star of the show. Car combat feels fantastic, with explosive battles taking place across deserts, canyons, and ruined highways. Upgrading your vehicle constantly gives you new reasons to explore and take on dangerous challenges. Outside of driving, the game features satisfying hand-to-hand combat inspired by the Batman Arkham series, along with numerous enemy camps to conquer and secrets to uncover. What truly stands out is the atmosphere. The wasteland feels harsh, lonely, and believable, perfectly capturing the spirit of the Mad Max universe. If you somehow skip this one, it's absolutely worth revisiting today. There has never been another open world game quite like Gravity Rush 2. At first glance, it may look like a typical action-adventure game, but once you start playing, you quickly realize how unique it really is. You once again take control of Kat, a young woman with the ability to manipulate gravity itself. Instead of running through the world, Kat can essentially fly by changing the direction of gravity. One moment you're standing on a rooftop, and the next you're falling upward through the sky toward a floating city in the distance. It's one of the most creative movement systems ever designed. The world itself is absolutely stunning. Massive floating cities, vibrant architecture, and beautiful art direction make exploration constantly rewarding. Every area feels imaginative and distinct. Combat also benefits from Kat's gravity powers, allowing players to launch devastating aerial attacks and approach battles from any angle. Despite its creativity and originality, Gravity Rush 2 never reached the audience it deserved. If you're looking for an open world experience unlike anything else on the market, this hidden gem is well worth your attention. Assassin's Creed Syndicate often gets overlooked when people discuss the best games in the series, but it deserves far more recognition than it usually receives. Set during the Industrial Revolution, the game transports players to Victorian London, one of the most detailed and atmospheric cities Ubisoft has ever created. From bustling markets and crowded streets to towering factories and iconic landmarks, the city feels alive at every turn. One of Syndicate's biggest strengths is its dual protagonists. Players can switch between Jacob and Evie Fry, twins who approach situations very differently. Jacob tends to favor direct action and brawling, while Evie focuses more on stealth and traditional assassin tactics. The introduction of the grappling hook was another game changer, making navigation across London faster and more enjoyable than ever before. Combined with horse-drawn carriages, gang warfare, and memorable side activities, the world offers plenty to do. While it may not receive the same attention as some other entries in the franchise, Assassin's Creed Syndicate remains one of the most entertaining and underrated Assassin's Creed games ever released.
Shoot it now! Listeners over the floor!
Days Gone is probably one of the biggest examples of a game that was judged too harshly at launch. When it first released, technical issues and mixed reviews overshadowed what was actually a very ambitious open-world adventure. Over the years, however, many players have gone back to it and discovered just how much it has to offer. You play as Deacon St. John, a former biker turned drifter trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic Oregon overrun by freakers, the game's terrifying zombie-like creatures. What makes Days Gone stand out is its incredible sense of journey. journey. Your motorcycle isn't just transportation, it's your lifeline. Managing fuel, repairing damage, and upgrading your bike becomes a huge part of the experience. Then there are the hordes. Hundreds of freakers can swarm you at once, creating some of the most intense encounters ever seen in an open world game. Planning routes, setting traps, and desperately trying to survive these encounters never gets old. Combined with a beautiful world, strong character development, and rewarding exploration, Days Gone is a game that absolutely deserves a second chance. Driver San Francisco is one of the most creative open-world driving games ever made, and it's honestly surprising that more people don't talk about it. The game follows undercover detective John Tanner as he pursues a notorious criminal through the streets of San Francisco. But what truly makes the game special is a gameplay mechanic called Shift. Instead of being limited to a single vehicle, Tanner can instantly jump into the driver's seat of almost any car on the road. One moment you're controlling a sports car, and seconds later you're taking over a truck, a taxi, or a police vehicle halfway across the city. What sounds like a strange idea ends up transforming the entire game. Missions become more creative, chases become more dynamic, and the open world feels far more interactive than traditional racing games. Beyond its unique mechanics, Driver San Francisco also features excellent driving physics, a beautiful recreation of the city, and a surprisingly entertaining story. Even years after its release, there really isn't another game quite like it, making it one of the most underrated open world experiences you can play. Generation Zero is one of those games that quietly improved over time and became far better than many people realize. Set in an alternate version of 1980s Sweden, the game begins with you returning home after a trip, only to discover that the entire region has been overrun by mysterious hostile machines. The human population has seemingly vanished, leaving you to uncover what happened while fighting for survival. What immediately stands out is the atmosphere. The world is beautiful, featuring forests, farmlands, coastal towns, and abandoned villages that feel eerily empty. Exploring these locations creates a constant sense of tension because you never know when a massive machine might appear. The enemy designs are fantastic, ranging from small scouting robots to enormous mechanical hunters capable of devastating attacks. Every encounter feels dangerous and requires strategy rather than simply running in and shooting everything. Whether playing solo or with friends, Generation Zero delivers a unique mix of exploration, survival, and mystery that deserves far more attention than it receives. Some open world games focus on realism. Just Cause 3 couldn't care less about realism, and that's exactly why it's so much fun. Set on the beautiful Mediterranean island nation of Medici, you once again play as Rico Rodriguez, a one-man army determined to overthrow a ruthless dictator. The story is simple, but honestly, that's not why you're here. You're here for the chaos. Just Cause 3 gives players one of the greatest traversal toolkits ever created. Between the grappling hook, wingsuit, and parachute, simply moving around the world becomes incredibly entertaining. You'll spend hours flying across mountains, soaring through towns, and launching yourself into ridiculous situations. Then there's the destruction. Enemy bases, fuel tanks, radar stations, bridges, almost everything can be blown up in spectacular fashion. The game constantly rewards creativity and experimentation. The massive open world is filled with opportunities to cause mayhem, and few games capture that sense of freedom better than Just Cause 3. If you simply want to have fun and create your own action movie moments, this game is an absolute must-play.
Try to store fuel now, you jerks.
If you're tired of fantasy RPGs filled with dragons, magic spells, and world-ending prophecies, Kingdom Come Deliverance offers something refreshingly different. Set in 15th century Bohemia, the game drops you into a historically accurate medieval world where realism is the main focus. You play as Henry, the son of a blacksmith whose peaceful life is shattered after his village is attacked. What follows is a deeply immersive journey through a kingdom torn apart by war and political conflict. What makes Kingdom Come Deliverance so unique is its commitment to authenticity. Henry doesn't start as a legendary hero. He's just an ordinary person who has to learn everything from sword fighting and archery to reading and survival. Progress feels earned because every skill improves through practice. The open world is absolutely beautiful, filled with forests, villages, castles, and realistic NPCs following daily routines. Every decision feels meaningful, and every victory feels rewarding. It's not always easy, but for players who enjoy deep immersion and realistic role-playing, Kingdom Come: Deliverance is one of the most underrated open-world RPGs ever made. Mafia Definitive Edition isn't the biggest open world game on this list, but it's easily one of the most immersive. This complete remake of the 2002 classic transports players to the city of Lost Heaven, a stunning recreation of a 1930s American metropolis during the height of organized crime. You step into the role of Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver whose life changes forever after becoming involved with the local mafia. Unlike many modern open world games, Mafia isn't focused on filling the map with endless activities. Instead, the city serves as the backdrop for an incredible cinematic story, filled with memorable characters, dramatic moments, and emotional stakes. The attention to detail is remarkable. From the architecture and vehicles to the music and atmosphere, everything helps bring the era to life. Driving through rain-soaked streets at night while jazz music plays in the background creates an atmosphere few games can match. If you're looking for a story-driven open-world experience with incredible presentation and a gripping crime narrative, Mafia Definitive Edition absolutely deserves a place on your playlist.
Some kind of death wish?
Rage 2 is a game that received a mixed reception when it launched, but underneath its flaws lies one of the most enjoyable combat systems in any open-world shooter. Set in a colorful post-apocalyptic wasteland, you play as Walker, a ranger fighting against powerful factions trying to control what's left of civilization. While the story isn't particularly memorable, the gameplay more than makes up for it. The combat feels absolutely incredible. Every weapon packs serious punch, and the game gives you a variety of powerful abilities that let you launch enemies into the air, slam them into the ground, or tear through entire groups with explosive force. What makes Rage 2 stand out is how aggressively it encourages players to stay mobile. You're constantly dashing, jumping, shooting, and chaining abilities together in fast-paced battles that feel almost like a first-person superhero game. The open world may not be the most detailed, but it provides plenty of opportunities to unleash chaos and experiment with the game's fantastic combat systems. If you love explosive action and satisfying gunplay, Rage 2 is definitely worth revisiting. When people talk about open world innovation, Faction Guerilla rarely gets mentioned, and honestly, that's a shame. Released in 2009, this game introduced a level of environmental destruction that many modern games still struggle to match. Set on a colonized Mars, you play as Alec Mason, a miner who joins the Red Faction resistance movement to fight against an oppressive military force controlling the planet. The biggest reason to play Faction Guerilla is simple: destruction. Nearly every major structure in the game can be destroyed piece by piece. You can weaken support beams, blast holes through walls, or bring entire buildings crashing to the ground in spectacular fashion. The physics system remains impressive even by today's standards. Beyond the destruction, the game offers a large open world filled with missions, enemy outposts, and opportunities for creative chaos. Every encounter becomes more exciting because the environment itself can be turned into a weapon. Few games have ever delivered this much freedom to reshape the world around you, making Faction Guerilla a true hidden gem that deserves another chance. Sleeping Dogs is one of those games that deserve to stand alongside the biggest names in the open world genre, yet somehow it never received the recognition it truly earned. Set in a beautifully recreated Hong Kong, the game puts you in the shoes of Wei Shen, an undercover police officer attempting to infiltrate one of the city's most dangerous criminal organizations. Right from the beginning, the story pulls you in with its blend of crime drama, betrayal, and difficult choices. What really separates Sleeping Dogs from other open world games is its combat. Instead of relying heavily heavily on guns, the game focuses on brutal hand-to-hand martial arts inspired by classic Hong Kong action films. Every fight feels fast, impactful, and incredibly satisfying. The city itself is packed with life, from crowded markets and neon-lit streets to street races and side activities. It feels like a place that genuinely exists beyond the player's actions. Even more than a decade later, Sleeping Dogs remains one of the finest crime-focused open-world games ever made. If you've somehow missed it, you're in for a fantastic experience. If you've never played Sunset Overdrive, you're missing one of the most fun open-world games ever created. Developed by Insomniac Games before they became famous for Spider-Man, Sunset Overdrive throws you into a colorful city overrun by mutant monsters after an energy drink disaster turns most of the population into crazed creatures. But the story isn't the reason people love this game. The real star is movement. Instead of slowly running through the world, you're constantly grinding on rails, bouncing off cars, wall running across buildings, and launching yourself through the air. The game encourages you to stay in motion at all times, turning simple travel into one of the most entertaining parts of the experience. Combat is equally chaotic, combining outrageous weapons with fast-paced movement to create encounters that feel unlike anything else on the market. Its humor won't be for everyone, but its creativity, energy, and unique gameplay makes Sunset Overdrive one of the most underrated open-world games of the last generation. If you enjoy games that prioritize fun above everything else, this one is absolutely worth a second look.
Try some nearby rooftops.
The Saboteur is one of the most criminally underrated open world games ever made. Released back in 2009, it arrived during a period when open world games were becoming increasingly popular, but somehow this incredible title slipped through the cracks. Set in Nazi-occupied Paris during World War II, you play as Sean Devlin, an Irish race car driver turned resistance fighter seeking revenge against a ruthless German officer. What immediately makes the Saboteur stand out is its unique visual style. Areas controlled by the Nazis appear mostly in black and white, creating a dark and oppressive atmosphere. As you liberate districts and weaken enemy control, color slowly returns to the world, making your actions feel meaningful and impactful. Beyond its visual identity, the game combines stealth, gunfights, sabotage missions, and open-world exploration into a surprisingly fun package. Climbing buildings, sneaking into enemy bases, and blowing up strategic targets never gets old. Even today, there really isn't another game quite like the Saboteur, and that's why it deserves far more appreciation than it received. Most open-world games are packed with combat, danger, and constant objectives. Submerged Hidden Depths takes the complete opposite approach, and that's exactly what makes it special. Set in a beautiful world that has been reclaimed by nature, the game puts you in control of siblings Miku and Taku as they explore the ruins of a flooded civilization. Instead of fighting enemies or leveling up weapons, your goal is simply to explore, uncover secrets, and piece together the story of this mysterious world. The atmosphere is the real star here. Sailing through flooded cities, climbing over abandoned skyscrapers covered in vegetation, and discovering hidden locations creates an experience that feels incredibly relaxing. It's the kind of game you play when you want to unwind rather than test your reflexes. Visually, the world is gorgeous, and every area feels handcrafted to encourage curiosity. While it may not offer the excitement of traditional open-world games, it delivers something many modern games don't: peace and wonder. If you're looking for a calm and beautiful adventure that focuses entirely on exploration, Submerged Hidden Depths is absolutely worth your time. And finally, a game that deserved so much more attention than it got: Immortals: Fenyx Rising. When Ubisoft first revealed this game, a lot of people immediately wrote it off as a clone of another popular open-world adventure. And honestly, that's a big reason why so many gamers missed out on what is actually one of Ubisoft's best releases in years. You play as Fenyx, a warrior tasked with saving the Greek gods from the monstrous Typhon. The world is absolutely packed with things to discover, whether it's hidden treasures, challenging vaults, mythical creatures, or environmental puzzles that constantly reward exploration. What I love most is how every corner of the map feels worth investigating. The combat is fast, satisfying, and filled with special abilities inspired by Greek mythology. You can glide across massive landscapes, climb towering mountains, and chain together powerful attacks against legendary enemies. Add in a colorful art style, surprisingly funny narration, and some genuinely clever puzzle design, and you have an open-world game that deserved far more recognition. If you skipped Immortals Fenyx Rising when it launched, this is definitely one you should go back and experience. And those are my picks for 20 underrated open world games you need to give a chance. Did I miss any hidden gems that deserve more attention? Let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for great underrated games to play. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more gaming content, and I'll see you in the next one.